Hello and welcome to Patlite Tech Tips Live. My name is Daisy and I'm a technical support engineer for Patlite USA. And also I am your host for today's event. During this live presentation, please feel free to enter any questions you may have into the chat box and we will do our best to answer as we go along. This webinar is being recorded. You can always view the playback here on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/@PatliteUSA. There will also be additional contact information towards the end of the presentation. So today we're going into a little more detail on the WE-LAN and how it operates. So we've all been there. We've all played the waiting game of having materials being loaded onto a conveyor belt and having a reassuring blue pulsing light just letting everyone know that the material is coming. It's just taking a little bit longer than it should, but having that light just lets everyone know what's going on. And that is where the WE-LAN comes into play. So WE-LAN is a cousin to the WE and WEP from Patlite, with the WE-LAN being a 4-tier network controlled signal tower. However, it is not PoE, it is not power over Ethernet, so you do need an additional power supply for it. There is just one part number for it, but we'll go into what each element means. So we have the model series name, the WE, followed by the number of tiers, in this case 4. Then we have the voltage type, 24 volt DC, which is that 02. We have a U for a silver body color, B for buzzer, and then we have the connection type, which is LAN. So what do you get with the WE-LAN? There are 9 colors built into each tier of the LED. Then we have 10 lighting patterns and 7 buzzer patterns. So how does this all kind of work? How does it all come together? Well, first, you do need to have a separate power source. Then a bit of a magic formula, a bit of a black box, if you will. And then voila, profit. Okay, not really, but close. We do still need a separate 24 volt power source for the WE-LAN. Then there is some network configuration that has to be done for your PC. This is just for the first time setup. Then we can access the web setup tool that's built into the WE-LAN. And finally we'll get into how to control this tower with a quick demonstration on how it operates. So for power, the WE-LAN has 2 wires, the yellow and gray, for positive and negative 24 DC, and it has a female RJ45 connector, and that's how you can connect to your PC, to any equipment that is going to be used for the final installation here. So we'll have to do some network configuration for the PC, and again, this is just for the initial setup, so you can access the WE-LAN's built-in web setup tool. The WE-LAN does have a default IP address of 192.168.10.1. So as long as those first 3 sets of numbers match on your computer, which is 192.168.10, you should be able to connect to the WE-LAN. To connect, you would open up pretty much any web browser. For this demonstration, I'm using the Chrome web browser, and just enter in that default IP address, 192.168.10.1. There is going to be a first-time password setup when you first log in. Once you set that password, it will be that same password going forward. It won't ask you to set it up again. And in that web setup tool, there is a separate page for network settings. This is where you can change the default IP address of the WE-LAN to be something to fit your needs, your existing network. It's also where you can change the default colors of the WE-LAN. And this comes into play when you're trying to control the unit. There is a separate section for this setup. Yeah, so there is a drop-down menu per tier, so you can choose which colors you want, which colors you would need. And we'll get into the pattern control here in a second. For purposes of this demonstration, I will be using HTTP commands, just with the Chrome web browser here. But it is not only compatible with HTTP, it can also be controlled with Modbus over TCP or PNS commands. So a bit of syntax for the HTTP command line. There are two main methods of controlling it. There is the individual tier control, which is where you see the color and buzzer and flash E. And then we have a more overall signal tower control, which is the alert function. So with that first line, we have individual tier control, so you can choose from one of the 9 colors, choose one of the 7 buzzer patterns, and then we have flash and flash E. So flash will control the flash pattern for the entire stack, and flash E will control the individual tiers flash pattern, so you can mix and match flash patterns as needed. However, if you use both flash and flash E, flash does take priority, so it'll just ignore the flash E command line. And then we have the alert function, which is where the where you have individual control of each of the flash patterns per tier. So it'll just flash that predetermined color from the web setup tool. So you can leave it as is, RYGB, or you can change it to be one of those 9 colors. So you have your cyan, your pink, your purple. And now these are the values that are used for that HTTP command. The values and other syntax for Modbus and for PNS commands can be found in the full web manual, and that is available on Patlite.com. So here we have the 9 color values, and then 0 meaning off. Before we switch over to the live demonstration here, there is a clear function, so it'll just clear out whatever light pattern is going on. It'll clear out the buzzer sound, it'll clear out everything, so you can send up a fresh command without having to confuse anyone, really. So in this demonstration, we'll have a cyan color going from left to right, just to simulate any product being loaded like onto a conveyor belt. If the conveyor belt is running, we'll have a blue pulsing light. And then as material gets towards the end of the conveyor belt, it'll start flashing pink. And once everything is cleared up, we'll switch over to a green light with a combination of steady and flashing, just to call more attention to itself. So here we have the WE-LAN. I'm just popping off the shell. So the top of the product will have the Patlite label, and the bottom of the product has a built-in status indication light, just showing that the product is getting power. And then for installation, the Chrome shell has the Patlite label on the bottom of the unit. So here I have my WE-LAN powered up, yellow and gray wires, just using these Wago connectors to a 24-volt DC power supply. And I have the RG45 connector here to this computer. So here we have the cyan light kind of just going from left to right, showing that the product is being loaded. Then we can switch that over to a more steadier or a blue pulsing light that the process is currently running. As it gets towards the end, we can switch over to a brighter pink flashing. And then as the product is finished, we have two solid green lines showing that it is done. And then we have the top and bottom tiers flashing just to call more attention that the process is done. You can come pick up the empty bin. You know, you need to put more material in. And then once that's taken care of, we can clear it out. So the WE-LAN is pretty much tailor-made for the semiconductor industry. So just for example, in the deposition step, in the semiconductor process can vary greatly depending on which technique is used. As time passes, a thick film will be formed on the surface of each wafer, although the exact duration is not specified, and it does depend on which device is being manufactured. With the WE-LAN, you can show that the machine is in the middle of a process, again with that blue pulsing light. And as it gets closer to finishing, the pulsing pattern can change to a more rapid blinking pattern, just calling more attention to itself. You can also find it in material handling environments. So for example, in AGV, as we all know, AGVs have revolutionized the material handling world by automating different tasks. With different sensors and detection devices, these vehicles can transport all kinds of goods throughout a warehouse. And just for example, having a low battery can impede the flow of these goods. So adding indicator lights all around the AGV can quickly display any information such as battery needs charging, which battery percentage is there, or if you're loading and unloading a cart, you need to know if you have enough juice left to get back out to the rest of the floor. So then you can plan, I guess, around these unplanned downtimes of an AGV and allow ample time for recharging. As we get towards the end here, we have a quick overview of the WE-LAN and in comparison to its cousin, the WE and WEP. The WE-LAN is pre-configured to only have the 4 tiers, whereas the WE and WEP can come either 3, 4, or 5 tiers. They are both 24 volt DC, with the WE-LAN having IP23 and WEP having IP54. The WE-LAN does have that RJ45 connector. It is the female connector. So you can connect to your equipment, to your PC, and you can control it with HTTP commands, Modbus over TCP, and PNS commands. And the WE-LAN does come with 4 washers, 4 nuts, and 4 screws, so you can install it straight from the box. If you would like more information about this product, please feel free to follow us on our social media channels for more. You can always follow us here on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/PatliteUSA. We also have additional information on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook. And if you would like to reach out to us directly, you can also do that. For any sales inquiries, there is sales@patlite.com. For other technical questions, other more nitty-gritty details, There is technical at patlite.com. And for any 24/7 support, there's always youtube.com/@PatliteUSA. So thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Again, this was recorded and it will be available to view on YouTube later today or right after its event.